The battle of the backup QB, Colt McCoy versus Brett Rippon as the Broncos take on the Arizona Cardinals at Empower Field at Mile High. Good morning, everybody. Welcome into Pregame Live. We got Cecil, Landry, Andrew, Mase, and Rachel B. Hill hanging out with you. Mase, we're going to get to you first. That way you can go see what else is going out there on the field. Any news for us?
Well, we heard from Damani Leach, team president, about an hour ago. He did a session on the field with some of the reporters, and not really anything much newsworthy there, except when asked about whether the improvements, the scoreboard, suite improvements, etc., had any impact on whether they would stay the entire length of the lease, which goes through 2030 at Empower Field. He said, nope, these are two separate projects. So it's one of those things where he didn't say anything directly, but he kind of implied that the improvements aren't necessarily going to keep the Broncos at the stadium for a long time, and certainly aren't keeping them from starting to kind of look around and evaluate the long-term stadium situation. So that's the only kind of quasi news we got today.
Okay, so any injury updates? How's Brett looking? And for warm-ups, anything you can give us on that front real quick?
I mean, I looked at Rippon a little bit in warm-ups just briefly while I was just going through some stuff from the Damani Leach stuff. I mean, he looked fine. We're about to get inactives here in a couple of minutes, and I'll get those posted on denverfan.com. So that's really kind of what we're waiting for. We got the big news yesterday with Draymond Jones going to injured reserve and that ending his season since there are only 4 games left. He has to stay on IR for at least 4 games. He's not going to have surgery, but the recovery time's 4 to 6 weeks on the hip issue he's dealing with. So that's why they've shut him down. And so the conversation on Draymond moves to what you're going to do in the offseason with his expiring contract. Do you choose to franchise tag him or not? He does have 6.5 sacks. So that's the leading sacker out of the lineup today. That's the big impact, obviously, on the lineup for the Broncos. But they also get Randy Gregory back, too.
All right, Mase. Well, we appreciate your feedback or your info, and we will talk to you later.
All right, take care.
All right, Randy Gregory coming back, though. This is some exciting news, Cecil. When you kind of look at this, obviously another injury added to the book. What's new when it comes to this Denver Broncos team? But how much of an impact could Randy Gregory actually make, knowing that he's probably not going to be a full 100%, right?
He's not going to be a full 100%. They're not going to use him all the time. Like, he'll be a part-time player, which in this instance, part-time pass rusher. It's like what the Bills were doing with Von Miller. Von Miller wasn't playing a full share of snaps, but he's getting after the quarterback, and Randy Gregory is no Von Miller. But one thing that we've seen is when he's healthy-ish, because he's always kind of healthy-ish, is that Randy Gregory is disruptive and a playmaker from the edge. So you got Colt McCoy, who's no longer, not that he ever really was a rusher, but when he was younger, and I know he still looks like he's 12, but like when Colt McCoy was younger, he could get out and scoot, right? He could make some plays with his legs. He can't do that anymore. He's an old man, but he's a veteran who's going to stand back there and try to pluck you from the pocket. I wrote about it in my game plan this week at denverfan.com. So you're making him move off his spot. That's good news, because that timing, that offense, which he knows like Colt McCoy knows like the back of his hand, you got to make him move. You got to make him think. You got to get him off his rhythm, which he'll quickly try to establish in that rhythm passing game.
When we look at this game, to me, with it both being 2 backup QBs, I think we're going to learn a lot about coaching, right? Like we saw the offense get a little bit rolling last week with Russell Wilson in there. So, okay, now what happens when Brett goes in there? It's really going to come down to coaching, because we know Brett's not QB number 1 material. So what are we starting to learn about this, and what can we learn from today's game?
What we can learn is that it doesn't matter, like
but then it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, and I understand you could make the case and maybe like, oh God, you're beating a Colt McCoy Cardinals team that's given up on the season. Yeah. And they're probably going to win. And if I actually cared about picking the Broncos, I would have picked the Broncos, but whatever. Like, okay, they're going to win. The offense might show some life. They actually might run the ball. And again, on my game plan, I broke down what works against Arizona and Vance Joseph's defense. They have playmakers at 3 levels of their defense. They do have weaknesses, but they have playmakers there. So how do you attack that? Usually try to soften them up and then use screen plays, draw plays, these sorts of things to slow down that rush that they can get, not only interior push, but that exterior push that you are very fearful of with Brett Rippon. So, I mean, we learned Nathaniel Hackett finally got it when it's too late, I guess. But, at the end of the day, a lot of these losses just come down to the fact that they've had bad coaching. So, today we don't. I don't think we learned anything today. It's just like just get it over with. Everybody stay healthy, get it over with, and then like Mase said, we just start thinking about the offseason. Draymond Jones probably doesn't want to be here. That's just a guess. I haven't talked to Draymond about this, but like, yeah, I mean,
when you're vocal in the locker room, usually there's some things going on behind the scenes.
Yes. Yeah. So like, okay, do they franchise tag him, which will make him mad, but still like get to keep their asset basically? Do they let him go, get a compensatory pick? Like, so all these things are much more interesting than today's game. So what do we learn? I think we learn more about the players and who wants to be here more so than the coaches and who's not going to be here.
Yeah, I was going to say what I think we're going to learn out of this game today is if the defense is really given up. Because really this defense, although they're very injured, they should be able to stop a Colt McCoy run offense. So we've talked about it a little bit of like, what's this team playing for, right? Nothing. They know their offense can't get rolling. Like, will this finally be the game where they've given up or they've just looked ahead and they're like, 1, 2, 3 Cancun, right?
There's 1, 2, 3 Playa del Carmen.
Ooh, okay. We know where Cecil's going.
I was looking at houses down there. I was like, huh. I mean, I could go back to where my family came from, but it's pretty cheap to live in Mexico. But either way, it's pretty cheap defense. I don't know what the segue is, but like, watch how they affect James Conner. If James Conner, who we all should be fans of because he beat cancer when he was in college, if James Conner is out there and like, let's say Justin Simmons, for example, is kind of turning it down as a tackler. Okay, yeah, that's a sign. I'm not pointing out Justin specifically. I don't want to get his masseuse mad at me, but like, okay, like there'll be signs that we can see. How does this team respond to a physical runner? They stand up if they beat it, they punch him in the mouth, so to speak. Like, then you could be like, all right, they're in it. They got up for Kansas City. How in the hell do you get up for Colt McCoy led Arizona Cardinals team? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. When we go back to Draymond, though, I actually do want to ask you if you decide to, let him go or whatever, is there anybody on this roster that can really fill in that void, or do you have to go to free agency or even the draft?
Yeah, you can't lose Draymond Jones, basically. That's the bottom line. Like, usually in the draft, we see the picks that are ahead of the picks. We see the picks that are coming. So when you draft a Caden Stearns, you're like, oh, he's going to replace Kareem Jackson someday. And he will next year when Jackson is done. You don't have that with Draymond. And Draymond has been so good because of that versatility. Now, they stood him up and made him OLB, essentially, and that didn't work. But as a defensive end, the type of interior pressure that he can get as a 3 technique as well, like he's such a more important player than those 6.5 sacks are going to tell you. You might as well double that because it's interior pressure, and interior pressure makes every quarterback look mortal. Edge guys are edge guys, and you can find edge guys. You can create, a Malik Reed edge situation. He got 8 sacks. Okay. Yeah. But that's kind of creating that interior pressure. Teams can't plan for, teams can't escape from. You can't, unless you're rolling out every play to get away from the middle of the line of scrimmage, like, can't really escape middle pressure. It's what makes Draymond Jones such a valuable player and so important to keep around if the Broncos can.
I haven't kept up. How's Malik Reed doing in Pittsburgh?
He's fine. Like, he's Malik Reed, and Pittsburgh uses him as a rotational guy. So that's what they do. They have Alex Hightower. They've got TJ Watt. They've got better pass rushers. And Malik Reed he was never a player to look at as a Shaq Barrett. There's your CSU love. Like, he was never that guy. He wasn't that guy from day one. He was undrafted like Shaq, but obviously Shaq should have been drafted much, much higher because he wasn't drafted. So people were like, he's like that. No, he's not. He was never like that. Shaq was a special, special player and still is when he's healthy.
Do you think that the ownership's going to take notice today when tickets are $25 to get in the door?
Yeah. There's enough rumblings, and I'm just waiting because you hear so much at this time. And I hate whatever line I have to use. I hate beating a dead horse, basically. Don't get mad at me, PETA. But I hate that from just like, oh, here we go. And then the fans, and then don't show up. And then yes, I was talking to some fans yesterday at a Star Wars party. Yes, Rachel, there's such a thing as a Star Wars party. And these Broncos fans were like, it's just so different now. It's just like, you boo instantly. And there used to be a time in Broncos country where booing you were like frowned upon. If you started booing, people were like, hey, they got this, shut up or whatever. Now fans are just like, boo. And the home experience, much better than going to the stadium. I don't care if they make this scoreboard 31 feet taller or whatever. I love the spin. There's always spin with this team, which is fine. Everyone has a job. But like it'll be one of the best experiences. No, it won't. The stadium's still like middle of the pack. Anyone that says differently is just, I don't know, hasn't been to a new stadium. Because it's better to stay home. $25, but now $40 for parking. Now I got to deal with drunk fans. Now I got to pay, $20 for a beer or whatever. Like, it's $25 to get in the door. It's still not your total cost for today. Plus the time, plus like, okay, it's going to get cold. Like, I'd just rather stay home and drink 6-pack.
Have you ever seen tickets that low?
It's not that I keep track of the tickets, but no, I mean, this is embarrassingly low for this once proud franchise, and they're still proud, but I think their hubris got to them a little bit because they're not the only. How many times on Coffee Break are you talking about something that's not the Broncos? To me, that is foreign, and not just because my job is football. You don't talk about the Nuggets. Hey, I love basketball, but my job is football. Both of my jobs are football. So like, okay, but if you're the Broncos, you're not the king. Shut your mouth anymore. The Nuggets are great. The Abs are great. Whatever, Rockies. But like, and they've had this so long. They've been the king of the mountain.
Yeah.
No one else is going to, people are just going to turn away. You're not a good product. And it's not bandwagon jumping. I don't blame Broncos fans at all for what they've gone through, because this is historically embarrassing.
What do you think we're going to see out of the offense today?
Again, it comes down to, will the coaches do what they can? Will they do what's right? Like, what we should see is quick passing, get the ball out of the hands. Again, Arizona's got playmakers at all three levels. They can get after the quarterback. It's Brett Rippon. He's super smart. He's a great guy. He's not a good quarterback, but get the ball out of his hands quickly. Lots of Jerry Jeudy, lots of Greg Dulcich. It's on my game plan, denverfan.com. And for the love of God, I feel like Patches of Houlihan and dodgeball. And for the love of God, someone throw a gosh darn ball. Like, okay, can they run the ball, please? Can they do that? Latavius Murray's good. Marlon Mack's good. And again, draw play screen passes. I think Mack as a receiver to the backfield could be very important. But again, that's if the coaches know that. And I don't know. They're not good. Nathaniel Hackett's terrible. He's garbage. And, I guess he'll figure this game plan out like in week 18, and they'll win, right? They'll win today. But will they do what they're supposed to? I don't have faith they will. I have faith in the players. I do not have any faith in the coaching staff.
Well, will they win by touchdowns, or are we talking just field goals? Like, should we expect a pretty boring game today, Cecil?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I'd rather watch. We got Falcons Saints on right now. It's an early game, but like,
there's some good games.
And yesterday, oh my God, yesterday, I was at that Star Wars party. I was like, what? The Colts are up 33-0. And then I was like, what? The Vikings came back and won? Like, oh my God, great games. Fantastic game. This won't be one. So if I didn't have to, I wouldn't watch this game. I mean, if you're a casual fan, just go do something else.
Yeah.
It's just, no excitement, no nothing. No, it's Cardinals and Broncos and backup quarterbacks. So it's not going to be good.
I know. And it's hard because this is pregame live, but I really do want to talk to you about this Vikings game. Kevin O'Connell, are you kidding? Like, what is he doing so right with the Vikings? Because that game was insane. And to be honest, I was shocked that they were down. Like, it came as a complete shock. But again, good teams are able to build themselves back up and go out there and get a win.
I hate to sound like a broken record. What they did is they kept running the ball. They kept having balance. Like, you can't just go pass. Because when they tried that, Cousins was getting sacked. He was getting pressured. But if they ran the ball, they made sure to keep, again, declaration of influence. We're going to declare, we're going to run. Yeah. Okay, now the defense has to influence. Their influence to say, now we got to make sure we should stop their run. And then they go over the top. And KJ Osborne goes absolutely crazy. It was my sleeper of the week this week. Even though we didn't do Fantasy 5, I didn't talk about my Marcy Rossman rule, but we'll do that next week. But like, what they did is what good coaches do. What we're down, we can't panic. We have to be balanced, and we have to have the declaration of influence.
Yep. And how about those Bills too, man? My goodness, the
Josh
fans
Allen.
out there. I get everybody wanting to be like, you know what, we need a dome, but those snow games, when it's something like that, it's just so fun, Cecil.
You just need a retractable roof. Like, as I
Yeah.
put that out there with the $100 million again, the spin is like, this is such a great move. I'm like, man, when has you ever been to that stadium and be like, that scoreboard's too small? You know what would make this thing better? Big scoreboard. How
I
about the
agree.
stadium doesn't set on fire and you get a retractable roof? So then I said that, and people are like, you don't want a dome, you're taking away outside football. I never said that. I said you have a retractable roof, because when you have a Super Bowl, you close it. You get a bunch of money here in Denver. When you want to draft, because you can't have the draft at Red Rocks. Sorry, I love Red Rocks. Don't live that far from it. But like, you can never have a draft there. There are millions of people, millions that show up for the draft every year. You can't do it at Red Rocks. Okay, so do it downtown, close the dome, have the draft, have everybody party. It's just, you want to be with the times or not. So when Damani Leach says that today and Mase reports on it, is like, of course he's going to say that. They're not going to stay downtown, people. Just get ready for a stadium at DIA. The sooner that you, and if you hate it and you don't want, then go root for another team. Fine, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to move the stadium eventually, because they just have to, they have to be more modern with it.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, what we learned today, just even from our pregame show, is what was the first thing that came out of Mace's mouth? It had nothing to do with the game. It had to be all about the future. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Cecil, final question for you. Score prediction. Let's hear it.
Oh, boy. 9-6. I don't know.
That's what I'm expecting, too. I'm like, oh, no.
Will the Broncos score more points than I take naps during this game? Because I'm a napper. Okay? You get old like me, Rachel, then you're just going to be like, huh? What happened? And then look at the box score. Like, this game will put you to sleep.
All right. Sounds good. Well, I also got 9-6. I am putting the Broncos on top, so we will find out. Come hang out with myself, James Marilat, and Will Peterson during halftime. We'll keep you guys all up to date. Check out Cecil's articles at denverfan.com, and we will see you guys all later. Bye, everybody.